I haven't seen these works for a very long time. I haven't seen them since I made them. The first work, I suppose is the best one to start with, is the piece I made in 95, 96. So it was a piece I made when I was a student, so still in my teens.
They are sculptures of cathedrals, which are then dipped into copper sulfate. And Roger Hiorns is very, very interested in the materials that he uses and seeing what happens over time if you leave an object in certain materials.
So it's a little cardboard construction, and so put together a reasonably detailed thing, and then you just, at the time I just submerged it into these chemicals. And I was very interested in collaborating these two, I guess, kind of aesthetics into each other. This sort of force of nature, the system of nature, which is crystallization, and collapsing it into this sort of religious construction somehow. The
other works by Roger Hiorns that we have in the exhibition are also very unusual in terms of the materials that he is using. It's a diptych, and they are made out of polyurethane and brain matter. And the brain matter that he's used is taken from the hypothalamus of a calf. The hypothalamus is the part of the brain which holds the memory.
They're sort of a primitivist way of making form. They each contain, so they become containers for a piece of brain matter which has been prepared outside of the artwork, which has then been inserted once the work has been installed. And so these forms themselves are problematic as well because they represent male figures in sexual conduct. So they're basically two males in various sort of sexualized positions. And so in a way you've got all of these rather complex kind of positions that the work is taking. So it's socialized in terms of the form that it's been that's made it. And then the idea of the membrane is part of it. This high-tech material somehow is making this rather primitive object. And then you've got this sort of piece of brain matter which is even further complicated by the fact that it was taken from a source that had actually witnessed myself. So I'm present within the actual piece of work. No, there's a certain sort of sense of rationalization and materials which are essentially doing what they do. They're acting in reality rather than a simulation or a representation. And so for me that's a very important factor in the work. I'm not sort of looking for an aesthetic revelation in any sense. It's just a cold, it's just an investigation.